Gareth?
Yeah, there have been cases where they've gone on trial for trying to practice medicine without a license and that sort of thing. I don't know all the particulars on that, which I know is a subject of interest to you. But the Narconon program, like she was saying before, it's nothing really new, and it's just a recruiting ground to get people in.
Interesting, very interesting. Let's take some calls here and see what people want to hear about. This is Leah. You have a question for Tory and Gareth? And guys, if you don't hear her, I'll repeat the question to you, okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Leah.
All right, I had a question for Tory. I wanted to ask her about how far the harassment went towards her, because I attended some protests. I'm part of Anonymous as well. And our tires got slashed at one protest.
Okay, could you hear that at all, Tory?
I could not.
Okay, she's calling from Tennessee, and she is a anonymous member. Did some protesting, and her tires got slashed. She says, and her question was, how much coercion has been leveled at you, if any?
At Anonymous in particular?
No. This is a question directed at Tory.
Okay.
They flattened my tires. They've broken into my car and sprayed half of my rearview mirror and broke it off. They've chipped paint. They've moved things around in my house. They do weird stuff. And I called Jesse Prince, who was at the top of Scientology and is now out. And I told him, and I said, I feel this is so crazy because it's like all this little stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he said, Tory, it's called psychological warfare. It is Scientology. They're trying to drive you insane. That's what they do.
You can't really drive, just as a clinician, you can't really drive somebody insane that way. You really can't. And so I understand.
But you can make them feel really paranoid.
You can make people paranoid, but I wonder, whenever I hear about some of this, I wonder if it's some weird zealot within the organization just angry and acting out. Cone, is that you?
Yes, I'm here.
And you had a question? Or a comment?
I more had a little story to share that I'm actually also part of Anonymous. I'm from San Luis Obispo. I'm one of the main organizers up in San Luis Obispo, but I also come down to L.A. for the protests and help organize down here.
All right.
And they have, had private investigators follow me all around. And while I have not let out any personal information, I've actually had mysterious phone calls at my apartment, people claiming to be my friends and trying to figure out where I am. And then about 2 weeks ago, a man showed up to my door claiming to be with the law firms from Scientology and gave me a cease and desist letter saying that they knew who I was. It had my full name, full address, where I went to school, everything like that on it, and said that they knew who I was and that I should stop all my legal activities, and if I didn't, then they were going to take me to court.
Hey, but Cone, anybody's the totality of your life experience is available on the web for all of us. I got news for you. You pay a little fee, you can find out anything about anybody. So don't be so shocked that they know all about you. I mean, I could look it up and figure that out. But the fact that they take legal action to try to contain your behaviors, that makes sense too, right? I mean, that's what any organization would do.
Well, I mean, the thing that was.
Hold a second, Tory. Go ahead, Gareth. Go ahead. What's that?
Thank you.
Yeah, after Gareth.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's happened is that they're giving these letters to people, and it's basically like, we know you're doing something illegal, stop or we'll go to the authorities. Here's the thing, they don't ever tell you what you've done that's illegal. We aren't doing anything illegal, so why are they doing it? Here's what they'll do. We have some kids that are in high school that have come to our protests, and they'll actually wait at their house, wait for their parents to get home, and then they'll give them these letters. Yeah, they'll give their parents these letters, and then their letters are going, wait, when did you get into a terrorist organization? And so they're ruining people's lives, ruining people's careers, they're showing us people's jobs, and they don't have any specifics.
Well, I mean, Gareth, you can sue anybody for anything, anywhere, anytime. That's the way it works in our country.
Oh, absolutely. But we're not talking about lawsuits here. We're talking about them alleging criminal activity.
Interesting. And Tory, you had a comment on this?
Well, it's just they do create things that harm people. They do. And Hubbard wrote about it, so you can't say it's just weird people. Hubbard wrote a thing called Fair Game, where he said you can lie, cheat, steal, destroy someone utterly if they're an enemy of the church. Now, he wrote a cancellation, but at the bottom of that cancellation it says this does not apply. This cancellation does not apply to suppressive people. And I can tell you unquestionably they still practice it.
And what's a suppressive person?
Me. Anybody all of Anonymous now, because they're enemies of Scientology, they're considered suppressive.
And Tory, what if you just faded into the background and sort of looked kind of, with ambivalence at your experience there, some good, some bad, and you had some losses, and you just went on about your life? Could you do that?
I'll tell you what, I was going to do that, Dr. Drew. That was my plan. I was just going to leave, right?
Yeah.
But then they kept picking at me, and I kept talking to all these families who'd lost their loved ones and were begging to talk to their children. And I thought, and they kept picking at me. And I was like, you know what? No, I have something to say. If they would have left me alone, I would have been on my way. But they don't do that. I told them when I was in, you are creating your own enemies. And I've told them since I was out, you are creating your own enemies, and here I am. And they're still doing it to this day. Now they have anonymous. They had the critics before me. I mean, it was me. The critics came before me. They were like people that are just free speech advocates. Same thing, First Amendment rights, all of us.
Guys, we have to kind of wrap it up here. Do you have any last comments you'd like to make?
I have one comment to make.
Go ahead, Tory.
Find out for yourself. You don't have to believe me or Ath or Bunker. Go on the Internet. It's all there. And that is something, ask yourself this, why can't Scientology say, look at both sides? We all can.
And Gareth?
My final comment is about our picket this Saturday, if you don't mind.
Okay.
April 12th, we're going to be picketing at churches around the world. You can go to youfoundthecard.com and get information on it there.
Are other religions or other religious organizations getting in with you on this? Is that what you're saying?
We've had some interest, but no, not other religions.
So it's a political movement.
Yeah, we've got a political thing going on.
Okay. And it's churches around the world. And where can they find out about this?
On April 12th is one thing. Churches around the world, churches of Scientology, will be picketing this Saturday starting at 11. And you can pretty much go to any church in the world and you'll find us this Saturday.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Back more after this.
This is Dr. Drew.
That's kind of interesting. Dr. Drew Live. Phone number is 888-373-9502. And, it's interesting. I always get a little bit irritated at journalists who get so focused on giving both sides of the argument. I felt their pain there for a second because while certainly Tory and Gareth had very interesting and important points of view, I would like to hear from the other side. I would like to hear what else there is out there. Nathan, did you have a comment about that?
And even though we don't have Garrett on the line, I want to credit his organization as they're being one of the main voices for putting the spotlight on the subject. And I agreed with you. I thought evil was way too strong of a word.
Yeah, way too. I mean, that's then now I'm starting to have a problem with Gareth when he does stuff like that. It's like, come on.
That's kind of what I was getting at after the conversation. And I kind of knew though that they did use this this very rich language for being against them, but I still think that it was to bring spotlight on the subject. So I know I can't fault them right now for saying evil, but at the same time, if they don't tone it down now that they have the spotlight, then I have a problem with them.
Yeah, it's if you call everyone evil who infringes upon First Amendment rights, we got a lot of people on that list.
Yeah, exactly. And so I didn't really think that he was necessarily wrong in what he was saying. Even when he did say evil, but
he was overly enthusiastic about their excesses. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. So
but it's interesting. It's something that has, I'm sure, both sides of the argument, and I would dedicate an hour or two to the other side if they wanted to bring it.
I have a way of tying this into your show, and
okay.
This is I was searching one of Ron Hubbard's wife's names or mistress or whatever else. It said Hubbard has abandoned his wife Margaret Grubb, and their child has soon left the Navy. As he soon left the Navy, both women allege Hubbard physically abused them.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
And then here's the part that was quoted in the Times. Her divorce papers were accused Hubbard of kidnapping their baby daughter Alexis and conducting, quote, systematic tortures, beatings, and strangulations, specific torture experiments. And this is by the Times.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
I mean, I have some doubt on who this guy is. And this is, if you Wikipedia Sarah Northup, and this is the information I found.
Wow. That's really something. Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate the comment.
You got it.
Very interesting show today. Thank you to those of you that participated. Thank you to Tory and to Mark and to Gareth. I appreciate your participation. I look forward to hearing from the other side if they're willing to come on here.